It started with a smell. Faint, almost sweet at first. But then it turned sour, putrid, like something rotting in the roots of the earth. On July 3, 2019, in the quiet town of Stillwater, Minnesota, a dog walker named Donnie Chase was strolling along Mill Creek with his Labrador, Max. It was early, and the fog hadn't lifted from the forest trail. But Max suddenly froze, growling at something by the water's edge. That's when Donnie saw it, something pale, tangled in the reeds. At first, he thought it was an animal, maybe a deer, but it wasn't. Wrapped in what looked like an antique quilt was the body of a young girl. Bloated, bound. That morning, Stillwater stopped breathing. Stillwater was the kind of place where people didn't lock their doors. A town of 20,000 just outside of Minneapolis, known for its old-world charm and sleepy lakeside views. Crime here meant petty theft or a noisy neighbor. Nothing like this. Nothing like Emily Harrow, 17 years old, smart, driven, the kind of girl who made honor roll every year and volunteered at the animal shelter on weekends. She played violin, tutored underclassmen, captain of the debate team. Everyone in Stillwater knew her. Everyone loved her. Her mother, Karen, a nurse at Lakeview Hospital, raised Emily alone after her husband died in a truck accident when Emily was just 9. They were close, inseparable. And then, on June 18th, Emily vanished. She didn't come home from school, didn't answer her phone. No texts, no notes. At first, police treated it as a possible runaway, but her mom insisted Emily would never disappear. Not like that. As hours turned into days, Stillwater rallied. Volunteers passed out flyers. Search teams combed the woods. Hashtags like #FindEmily began trending on social media. But nothing turned up. And then, 2 weeks later, her body was found. Bound, gagged, wrapped in a faded, rose-stitched quilt from another century. She had been right there, in the water, but not the whole time. That's what made it worse. The autopsy revealed she had only been dead for 48 hours. For 12 days, someone had kept her alive. The discovery shocked investigators. Emily's body showed no signs of a struggle. No stab wounds. No gunshot. Only light bruising and a ribbon tied tightly around her neck, deliberately, ritualistically. Inside the quilt, near her chest, was something else. A prairie coneflower. Native to Minnesota. Recently picked. Not decayed. Someone had placed it there. Carefully. Lovingly. Detectives were puzzled. The quilt was traced to a small antique store in town. The owner remembered selling it to a teenage boy. Paid in cash. No name. Security footage from nearby showed a blurry figure on a bicycle, the quilt slung over his shoulder. But the face? Unidentifiable. That's when they began digging into Emily's life more deeply. From the outside, she seemed perfect. But in her last few months, friends noticed changes. She had become quieter, withdrawn. She dropped out of orchestra, quit the debate team. There were rumors she was dating someone in secret. Her best friend, Marcy, mentioned a guy, older, not from school. Emily never said much, but she seemed anxious, paranoid even. Her mom remembered bruises, small ones. Emily said she'd bumped into a locker. Nothing to worry about. But now, everything seemed like a red flag. Detectives subpoenaed her phone records. That's when they found it, a second phone. A burner, hidden in the lining of her backpack. That burner phone opened the first real window into Emily's final days. The texts were unsettling. Late-night messages. Code words. Coordinates. She had been meeting someone regularly. The last location pinged from an abandoned greenhouse on the edge of Stillwater, long shut down after a pesticide scandal in 2004. Inside that greenhouse, officers found a single mattress, a used bottle of water, zip ties, a pressed flower taped to the wall. Whoever brought Emily here had returned to the scene. More than once. DNA testing would later confirm that Emily had been held there for over a week. The killer had fed her, washed her, then murdered her. The investigation pivoted to a suspect mentioned in Emily's texts, Jay. At first, police thought it was a classmate, but the patterns didn't add up. And then came a break. A grainy photo surfaced online. Posted anonymously. A picture of Emily sitting across from a young man at a diner 2 towns over. Time-stamped 3 weeks before her disappearance. Facial recognition pulled a name, Jason Brent. 19 years old. Dropped out of Stillwater High 2 years prior. No job. Lived with his grandmother. Known to be quiet. Strange. Emily had tutored his younger sister the year before. Police brought Jason in for questioning. He denied everything. Said he hadn't seen Emily in months. Claimed he was working on a photography project in another town the week she vanished. But something about him felt off. Detectives searched his room. Inside, they found a journal. Page after page, filled with hand-drawn portraits of Emily. Sketches of her walking to school. Of her reading a book. One showed her asleep. All of them dated. Time-stamped. He'd been following her for almost a year. Jason's grandmother swore she didn't know. Said he was always a little too quiet, but she never imagined this. Police found a pressed flower tucked between 2 pages of his journal. A prairie coneflower, same as the one found on Emily's body. But here's where the story twists. Just as police were preparing to arrest Jason, his grandmother made a call to the sheriff. She had found something else. Behind a loose panel in their shed, wrapped in plastic. Another quilt. Identical pattern. Different colors. And beneath it, photos. Hundreds of them. Not just of Emily but of other girls. Girls who had never been reported missing. Girls who looked just like her. Emily wasn't the first. She was just the first they found. Jason Brent was arrested on July 19, 2019. Charged with kidnapping, unlawful imprisonment, and first-degree murder. He showed no emotion during the trial. No remorse. Prosecutors called him a sadist. A collector. Someone obsessed with preserving perfection. Psychiatrists diagnosed him with dissociative tendencies, but the court deemed him fit to stand trial. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. But the case didn't end there. Following his arrest, police reopened at least 4 cold cases involving missing teens from the surrounding counties. One body was discovered buried beneath an old barn. Another, in the crawlspace of an abandoned church. All of them wrapped in antique quilts. All of them bearing a single flower. Today, the town of Stillwater remembers Emily Harrow as more than a victim. They remember her smile. Her kindness. Her laughter echoing down school hallways. A scholarship fund now bears her name. Her story has sparked awareness campaigns across the state, encouraging parents to look closer, listen harder, and believe their children when something feels wrong. Her mother, Karen, speaks at schools now. Sometimes she brings the last photo she took of Emily, laughing in the sun, unaware of the storm coming. Evil doesn't always come with flashing red lights. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it watches from the shadows. Sometimes it wears the face of the quiet boy next door. And sometimes it takes someone you love and wraps them in silence.